Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Hello, dear brothers and sisters, respected viewers. Welcome once again to another episode of talking about Ahlul Bayt, let's call it. Here in Karbala, next to the holy shrine of Imam Hussein alayhi salam and Abu Fadl Abbas alayhi salam. We are so happy and grateful for presenting this show and topic and talking about the commander of faithful Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam and the quotes that Imam Ali alayhi salam has in Nahjul Balagha. Actually, Brother Ali, who you know is our guest in this show, has written the quotes of Amir al-Mu'minin Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, Amir al-Mu'minin Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam in his book. And he has just described any chapter, any quote in one chapter. So tonight, inshallah, we're going to talk about another chapter in his book. Hello, Brother Ali, and thank you for being with us.
Again, in the name of God, I'm happy to be here with you again, and I hope this will be something that will actually affect people on a personal level.
Inshallah, inshallah. Brother Ali, one of the chapters that I found in your book had two quotes of Amir al-Mu'minin Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, and its topic was just something like this: speak less, act more, something like this. And you had two quotes of Amir al-Mu'minin Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam in that. The first one said that don't be ashamed of sending and giving charity to the others, because not giving charity to the others is less and it has more shame. You know, this was the first quote, and the second one was just about, you know, how to behave, and if you know something, you need to act it, and just knowing it is not enough. And maybe the exact word of commander of faithful, maybe I don't remember exact words of the translation, but it was just about something like this. First question: why you have used two quotations, two quotes in one chapter, and what do you want to tell us by these chapters? Or let's say, let me change my question: what Amir al-Mu'minin wants to tell us and how you found it?
So, first of all, the reason I have two quotes is not because the quotes are free and I'm using as many as I can, no. But I think the matter of acting is very important. We lack action in the world today. We don't act. We speak a lot. I write a lot. But who's acting? Not enough people are acting. And acting is what will make the world a better place. Because by speaking about making the world a better place, we're not really going anywhere. We need to act. And I was taken back by two quotes which I presented there, because I felt a connection between them, although they came from different areas of the Imam's writing.
You know, you don't find any connection between them.
And they actually come from different areas of the Imam's writing. However, I connected them because I felt that there is a connectivity between them, and I explained the connectivity, and that's what we'll do today. So I think what I'll do is I'll explain one quote, and I'll explain the other quote, and then we can together tie them and see how they actually come together, and be amazed that...
so let's start with the first one. The first one was about the charity, which says that don't be ashamed of giving the charity.
Because giving less, because if you give nothing. Okay, that's a simple one. So I like giving examples. I'll give you another example.
Yeah, sure, the examples are better.
So let's assume that in your town there are 3 homeless children. And they're very hungry, and they're orphans, and you have decided to start an orphanage. You say, I'm going to start an orphanage because I feel bad. I want to do something good. I want to help these children. I want to, you know, give them a life. And so you go around and you have very little money. You go around and you start seeing if you can get some money together and get people in there working with you, helping to get these children homes and food and lives. And after a lot of tedious work, you fail. You come home and you sit down and you're staring out your window and you can see them and they're just about to die, starving. And they die. You tried your best. It's not that you didn't. You had the intention, you tried your best, right? Now, you could have, though, with the little bit of money you had yourself, saved one of the three. I know it's very difficult to choose one out of three.
Yeah.
But you could have at least
one, saved one.
Saved one out of three. We're going to assume that, right? So now we're going to assume that you even missed saving the one of the three that possibly you could have saved. So what the Imam is pointing to here is basically saying, look, you may not be able to save the world, but don't start with the goal of saving the world. Start with the goal of saving yourself. And then your neighbor. And then a community that you can reach. And then a bigger society or a larger scale. And then try to get to a point where you think you have a solution for the world. But don't attempt to skyrocket all the way to the largest capacity theater to perform on. Start in grassroots theaters and work your way to the pedestal, right? And that's important. Why? The most important part of it for me is this.
Which I think that it says that stretch your leg as long as your rod. So just do it as exactly as you can.
True.
Just do what you can. Then if you could do more, then you can go through.
Of course, of course. And before stretching yourself and taking that long stride, what is really important about this quote is it tells you that you are here able to act if you just act within your means. But we all want to act outside our means. If you look at today's life, this is not just about charity for poor people. This is charity for ourselves. If you look at our lives today, you will notice that we live as far stretched financially, as far stretched in every way emotionally, or any way it is in our lives that we can, because we want to reach the peak in every situation. When we're in love, we want to reach the highest, most glorious love. When we are trying to earn money, we want to reach the maximum amount of money that we can. When we're eating, we want to eat the most. We never have a couple of bites and get up. We eat until we cannot eat anymore.
So you mean through this quote, Ali ibn Abi Talib disagree with such an idea which says, I want something 100% or I don't want anything of it.
Exactly, because most of the time, we cannot have the 100% at hello. We have to work into the relationship to develop the 100%. If you look at, I'll go back to the finances, because finances is something everybody enjoys and likes talking, and they like the money, and they like when someone talks about billions, and a smile comes on people's faces. So if you look at some of the greatest tech companies in the world, none of them went in with a huge, infrastructure and market capacity and money and capital involved and all that. No, they all started with an idea, a couple of geniuses in the tech world, like Microsoft, for example, or Apple, or any other company. They started with what they did.
The investment wasn't that much.
No, exactly. I mean, it started, you know the stories. They started from the parents' garage or some other place, and one thing led to another, and even the Facebook story, and, all these things. And they develop and they reach somewhere. Now they are where you want to be. But a lot of people think about doing something at this small, tiny stage, and they say, but it's so small. But you cannot have Microsoft today from the beginning. You can have Microsoft 1980, and then you can, work for 40 years to get to where Microsoft is today.
I can't still remember 95, the Windows 95, which was an awful thing,
Exactly, but that if that Windows 95 was not created, you would not have today's version, because nobody could have come up with the idea of today without working from there to today. You see?
Yeah.
So this connection of start with whatever, and completely separate from this, more importantly, I think, is the idea of start somewhere. Because if you start caring for one person who needs care, you will eventually be able to expand and grow into loving and caring for 100 people. But if you never care for the first person, there will never be a second, because for there to be a second has to be a first.
Which this is a greater shame.
So you need a first. So care for the first and grow.
And if you don't care for the first, this is the greater shame, as Imam Ali
Exactly.
has.
This is the shame, because the shame is you didn't do anything. You didn't do anything. You did not act, right? What's the greatest shame? You did not act.
You didn't act, yeah.
So we can extract from this quote,
Definitely.
the greatest shame is non-action, right? Now let us explain the second quote.
Yeah, which is about the knowledge, and if you know something, then act it.
Right.
Not to say, okay, I only know it, and then that's
Right.
enough.
The speaking of it is not important, right? So the second quote in that chapter is basically Imam Ali saying, so you have knowledge. That's wonderful. That's great. You passed that first stage of getting knowledge. Now you talk about the knowledge that you have. You're continuously talking about the knowledge that you have. And are you applying it? Are you acting on it? Are you doing anything with your knowledge? Because the tongue is superficial. Action is what leads to results.
Can you give an example for it?
Sure. I will give you a personal example and something more social. So in a personal example, you will read about a life of a good person, a life of a person that you can turn around and say, I'm learning something from this person's life, okay? And you basically get to a point of learning that when you can be charitable, when you can help people, when you can go and invest time to help people, right? And you say, wow, that's a lovely idea. You have the knowledge now that charity is good. It helps
How
your
to
community.
do it, where to do
Right.
it, yeah.
Now you come to your friends and you say, charity is really nice, charity is really good, charity is really beautiful. We should all be charitable. We should all give and help and support and whatnot and be involved. If you can personally be involved as well.
Good words.
We do this, right? And the night ends and we all go to our homes and we all go to bed and we wake up tomorrow and we go to work. And nobody does the charitable part. We know it, we speak it, but we don't act.
But who don't act?
So nothing happens. Nothing happens. There's no charity involved. There's no charity established.
Yeah.
Nothing happens. This is the social aspect of it, whereas the personal part of this same aspect from the social context is that we were not able to engage ourselves insofar that doing something that we have learned about, that we became wise with and knowledgeable about, reached that platform. So I have knowledge about something today. I can act upon it or I cannot. Sometimes, I remember personally, I was with a friend of mine who was seeing a doctor. The doctor was also a friend. And this friend, had some heart problems, whatnot, and they were telling him he should stop smoking. He was a smoker. Otherwise, he needs surgery and those kind of medical procedures.
Yeah.
The doctor friend was sitting with us. We were having lunch. And as he was puffing on his cigarette, he was telling the other guy, if you keep smoking, you're really going to be in trouble. I mean, we're going to have to do bypass surgeries and stuff like that. And, and he's smoking and saying this. He has the knowledge. He's right. Nothing he said, nothing the good doctor said was wrong.
But he was acting
the opposite way.
Yeah.
So speaking is not going to lead to anything because this person's not quitting. You are not quitting. You're both smokers. You're smoking as you're talking. The action is not, the lack of action in this position is going to lead to a deterioration of the future. Correct?
And if that one, for example, if the doctor that you just mentioned in this example, if he can do the surgery, but he has the full knowledge about the surgery, and the other one wants the surgery, the more he talks about surgery and says that, okay, I will do this, I will do this, I will just make the operation on you just like this, but acting nothing, the ill person is still going to be in the same condition,
Yes,
and he's not going to be cured and healed.
yes, as well, right? So
Yeah.
you see how in the inaction and the
But if the doctor takes the action, then the
yes, if you block,
person will be
when you
cured.
block the action, you are automatically not allowing progress.
yes.
But the more you talk, the less you're acting. So if you, all of us, can, you know, kind of hold our tongues.
Stay silent.
Yeah,
Like,
you know, if I can do this for a little longer and do something productive, then I've done something. But as you know, we are a lot of people's problem, myself included. I speak a lot.
Great. Okay, so I think that's it's all clear that why you and about the every code, you know, it's all clear that each code what means. But inshallah, in the next you know, minutes that we are going to have, inshallah, after the break, I would like to ask you about the relation between these two, but after the break, inshallah. Okay. Let's have a break, and inshallah, then we will be back and see what is the connection between these two codes.
صرت مخدوم علي محبتك دوم خادم صرت مخدوم علي محبتك دوم رفعني حبك للسماء وخدمتك سلطان رفعني حبك للسماء وخدمتك سلطان يا حسين خدمتك سلطان مملوك أعيش بحضرتك للملكيتني كل شي ما أصغرك أكبر بالعشي وباسمك أبقى أمشي.
Welcome back to the second part of this episode, and I'm going to ask Brother Ali about the codes of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam in his chapter. I would like to read the codes once again exactly as they are in the book, and then let's see that what is the connection between these two codes. The first code goes, don't feel ashamed if the amount of charity is small, because they refuse the needy is an act of greater shame. This is the first code that you have just brought in your chapter. The second one is that just like this, it goes, that knowledge which remains only on your tongue is very superficial. The intrinsic value of knowledge is that you act upon it. So this is exactly the same words that you have used and brought in your chapter. But I would like to ask you that what is the connection between these two codes?
So the second code teaches us that if we don't act upon our knowledge, then speaking about it is useless, really, essentially. That is what it's saying. I mean, I could know a lot, and it doesn't help unless the specific area of help, the action of it is through speaking. Then it's also action. So if I'm a teacher at a university and I'm speaking, then that speaking part of my teaching is my acting. It's no longer my speaking, right? So in a sense, the second code is telling us that we must act upon things that we have come to learn. So if we learn that helping others is a good thing, we act upon it. If we learn to eat healthier and talk about it all the time, and we can sit together and say, you know what, from tomorrow I'm going to eat a healthier diet, and you say, yeah, me too, because you know what, fats are bad for us, and you say, yeah, you know what, all these carbs I eat every day, they're really bad for me too.
But
and
the
we
next
talk and
day
we
you
talk.
have all those
Never mind the next day, we walk out of here and we share an ice cream, So we're not really going anywhere with the action, right? There's no action involved. There's actually negative action involved. And I think part of the teaching is also that as you don't act upon the knowledge that you have, you are negatively affecting your life, because you are no longer progressing into the action portion of your life. First you learn, then you discuss your learnings then you're confident about your learning, and then you act upon your learning. If you don't act about your learning, it means that you were never confident about what you learned. And if you're not confident about what you learned, then you only remain in the safe zone where you just talk. So that's that second quote now,
so we can
the
say
action.
that, I'm sorry, we can say that not only you're not going to go forward, you're going to go backward. And if you know something and you act exactly opposite of what you know, it makes a kind of bad feeling.
Yes, but let me even say this. Sometimes you don't act against it, right? But let me tell you something. Time is a linear motion.
Yeah.
It moves directly, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't stop for anybody. It doesn't
Never.
stop for anything. Never,
Never.
as you say, right? Okay. So if I have knowledge and time is coming at me and I act on the knowledge and I can move along with time, I'm progressing. This is progress right now.
Yeah.
If I know knowledge, if I know something and I talk about it, as I'm talking about it, time comes and goes through me,
Then
and
I
now
go
time is
backward.
here. I'm not going backwards. I'm in the same place. But relative to time, I seem that I've gone backwards. I may not have done anything wrong, but being that I'm so static and inactive and there's no dynamic movement in me, it seems that I'm going backwards because time is now
Relative
there.
to
But
the time,
relative
yeah.
to time, time has left me behind.
Yes.
So the unfortunate part is, if you don't act and you're still a good person and you're not harming anybody, you're still, as you said, moving backwards, even though you are not actually moving anywhere. You've done nothing wrong.
Yeah.
You're still where you are. But because time passed by you and you were not where you were supposed to be potentially at your best, then you seem
seems
to
that
move
you are
backwards.
moving
Exactly.
backward, yeah.
So now we take this action. We tie it to the first one. The first one says that giving a certain amount of charity, no matter what it is, give it, do it, give it, make it happen at the smallest level, because inactivity, not doing anything, is the worst possible way you can act. Correct? It's the greater shame. And shame is a strong word. So you never want to be ashamed of what you do. That means you've done something wrong, bad, right? That you're ashamed of it.
Yeah.
So if I have knowledge, I act. If I want to do good, I act, no matter how small or big. Everything is in action. Everything is in a forward motion of myself. I have to continuously act. And what are we acting in? To reach heaven, to reach God. Everybody goes back to God, right? We don't disagree on that.
Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un, exactly as the Holy Quran says.
So if all of us are going back to God, then we are striving to go back to God in the best possible way that we can. The best possible way you can go to God is through action in the correct path. So this is an example of the other quote, because this quote is saying, if you can only give, a small portion of money, if you can only give 1 hour of your time instead of 7 hours that's required, if you can only bring 2 children home and feed them dinner because you don't have more, instead of all 50 children that need food, whatever it is, if you can do in a limited capacity, doing that and being active will generate goodness for you, society as a whole, globally even.
Yeah.
But if you don't move at all, and if you stay put in any of those situations, you have not changed anything. And as we said, time is going. So you are losing. Society is losing. The globe, everybody's losing. The universe is losing because of those inactivity
Everyone
moments.
is related and connected
Everybody's
to the others.
connected to you. So now I
We're not
reach
living separately.
right.
From the
So
others.
now I'm working towards God's love here, right? And all my actions are going to be through love. My activities are all going to be through love to reach God in a way that God accepts that I'm working towards this beneficial position that I'm trying to work for, right? If I don't do that and I stay put and I do nothing, on what basis and merits am I going to be admired?
Yeah. Nothing.
Nothing. There's nothing for me to say, well, I did this. I helped in this way. I provided in this way. Well, nothing. I didn't stand up for justice. I didn't help the needy.
So just having this point of view on these two codes, and now when I just refresh my mind, I see that they are exactly the same. They are talking exactly about the same thing.
From two different angles.
Yeah, from two different angles. Yeah.
Exactly. Like I told you, they're very connected. They're just, you just have to understand. I mean,
So that's why I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's why you have choose the topic, act more, speak less, for this chapter.
yes, because I think today there are way too many people talking. There are too many people writing. There are too many people speaking and preaching and doing all this stuff. Yet there are not enough people acting themselves. I'm not talking about not enough people who should start campaigns and all this. No, not enough people acting on listening to that. I mean, there's so many people speaking.
But you know, sometimes acting is so hard just
No.
to start. For the first steps are so hard to.
No,
and
no,
that's what
it really
makes
isn't, because
people-
see, that's exactly what I'm trying to make people come out of. You don't need to establish a charitable organization and go to the city and get the paperwork and file it and, you know, do all that. No, start by just giving a little bit, help a little bit, you know, do a little goodness in your environment, in your community. Let other people's, your friends, get involved with that. Once you become a little more established and once people see you and hear about you, and you know your local TV station does a program on you or anything like that, then you can say, okay, you know what, maybe we should legalize this now and go to the city and file the paperwork and stuff, because we're getting bigger, we need to get an office, we need to organize, we can help more people by developing.
There is another solution also for what you're saying. It says that if you have a goal, but that's a huge goal, you can just divide it into little goals.
Partition,
then,
yeah.
and try to reach those little small goals one after the others. Then at the end of the day, you will find that you have reached the goal whole without that much effort that you were thinking at the beginning. That
Exactly.
okay, this is impossible, I can't get that goal, but you finally get the goal.
Right, and you can imagine this in, you know, when you're in school and you have homework from 3 different classes, you're not thinking of doing them all at once and all together. You say, this is going to take me about 45 minutes, this is going to take me an hour, this is going to take me about half an hour. You're going to divide them before lunch, before dinner or after dinner, and you know, between this show that you watch that I'm on, and things like that. And you basically divide your time and you get it done. And then at some point at the end of the night, you notice you've got it done. But if you turn around and say, oh my God, I have all this homework that I have to do.
Just you think about
just
it.
think about it and get
yeah.
scared of it and just leave it and walk away from it in stress.
It's never done.
It's never done. It's never going to done. But even if you start, the beauty of it is this. You start your homework. Do what you can. If you cannot finish all of it, it doesn't matter, because it's better that you did 2/3 than nothing.
Yeah.
It's better that you did 1/3 than nothing. It's better that you did 1/4 than nothing. Anything you do in action, in goodness, is better than nothing.
I just remembered words. One of the times, one of the friends were saying that if you want, for example, to go to, for example, to the Europe from the Asia, okay, from the Asian countries, okay, just start. Maybe you don't reach the Europe, but at least you just reach a path, a destination between these two. You're not in your same place, in your place, but you are going towards the destination. Although if you don't reach the destination, but you are in the middle, in the half of the way. So it's better than being static and staying in your same place. We don't have that much time, only maybe 2 minutes. So for these 2 minutes, do you have anything special to say according to what we're talking about?
I think the most important thing that we can take from this chapter is what it teaches us, essentially, is try to do, try to act. Get out of your shell. Stop talking. Stop making up excuses. Stop saying beautiful things and posting beautiful things and just living in this non-realistic world of social media. Get out there, do something. Help someone. Create something. Help yourself. Take your family out. Do something productive in life. Give.
Great.
In action.
Thank you so much, Brother Ali, and just as the topic is so great and the quotes are so great, and the one who has said the quotes is so great logically, not religiously. The speech and the conversation that we had together in such a beautiful place next to Holy Shana Imam Hussein alayhi salam and Abu Abbas alayhi salam was also great. And inshallah, may Almighty God bless you and bless all the people who get the ideas of Commander of Faithful Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam in act and not to talk about it. Yes. Inshallah. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and I hope if this show was satisfying you, inshallah, so don't forget to tune in the next episode for the next topic that we are going to go through. Have a great night and goodbye. Thank you so much.